Alrighty guys, welcome back to Sweetwater Acres. We are heading to the chicken coop today. We've got some work to do. If you've watched a few of our older videos here recently, we have been raising a bunch of chicks, and it has been time for us to introduce them out to the coop. It's been too hot in the machine shed. We're gonna get them out in the coop so they can start free ranging and living with the big chickens. I'm gonna show you the process in which on how I get those chicks ready to be introduced. And also at the same time, I'm gonna take 2 or 3 of our broody hens that have been trying to hatch out fake eggs in the chicken coop, and I'm going to try to break them of their broodiness at the same time. So stay tuned. So as you can see, I keep them in an old dog crate. I take out the sliding bottom. I put a little roost bar in there so they can start learning how to roost. I've got food, I've got water. I will probably, all I'm gonna do is just simply let them out. I kept them in here with all the hens so the hens can get used to being around them. What I'm probably going to do is simply just let them out, and then I'm going to put their food and water outside in the run so they get used to going outside to get all of their food and water, and they'll also start learning where the big chickens are getting their food and water outside as well. So then eventually I can just get rid of all the chick stuff and they can just start living happily ever after with the rest of the hens. Like I said, here are those hens. What I'm going to do with them is probably keep one of the feeders in here. I'm gonna bring out another waterer and just move those hens into here so they don't have any access to the nesting box. So they can stay in here, eat and drink and be happy, and hopefully break their broodiness. So stay tuned. really quickly, I wanted to talk about how long I keep those chicks in the dog kennel. I like to keep them in there, if I can, for 3 days, or 3 nights, I should say. If I can do 3 nights, they usually kind of understand where their roost is and where their home is. And then, sorry, there's one of the young ones got out, so I'm kind of shooing him back into the coop here. But if they can spend 3 nights roughly in the coop, then they kind of realize that that's where home is, and then they won't stray too far from there, and they'll always come back. So I try to spend 3 nights in there. I did 2 nights this time, purely because of the weather. It's been mediocrely hot the last 2 days, and it hasn't been really seriously hot. So moving them in there right when it kind of hit that mediocre heat. It was kind of high 80s. You know, we've been in the 90s and 100s, so it's been super hot. But it kind of dropped down into the 90s, high 80s, low 90s for a couple days. And then today, it actually is overcast, if you can tell, and low, like we're barely going to skim the 80s. So I figured if they're going to get bullied and chased around by the big chickens, today's probably the best day for it. It won't get too hot. It'll be overcast. They won't overheat. So as they're running for their lives, it shouldn't be too hard on them. But the hens are already starting to meander their way about doing their own thing. And that's kind of why I've kept them in that dog kennel in there for so long. And that's kind of why I start that initiation process of keeping them in that dog kennel for a few days. Because if I didn't do that, those hens would just be annihilating those chicks, kind of, you know, getting the pecking order, so to say, established. So putting them in that kennel kind of introduces them to the hens. Those hens can get used to those baby chicks. And usually when I let them out, there might be 5 to 10 minutes of them running for their lives. And they'll be intermittent throughout the day as some of the hens file back into the coop to get water, to get food, to lay an egg, to get in the shade. There'll be some chasing and pecking, but for the most part, they're kind of already used to each other. So that's why I like to do it that way. I have seen it where people just cold turkey put them in there, and those poor baby chicks are absolutely running for their lives. So that's how I like to introduce the chicks to the coop. So again, nice cool day. They won't have to, you know, overheat themselves too much for running. Tick, 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 tick. Tick, 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 tick. So I'm on my way to grab another water. I thought I had one out there, but I don't. So I'm gonna grab one out of the shop here. Doing this as quick as I can. I'm not getting the greatest of footage as I've got little man on the monitor. Finally got him to take his mid-morning nap. I've been playing dad all morning. So I'm gonna run into the shop here and grab a water quick. Hopefully he gives me about 5 more minutes. But we got all of the chicks inside, or let out. As you chicken people may know, they are getting bullied big time. So the bullying has commenced. That's why I put Scratch out there, was to kind of pull those big chickens out of the coop, hopefully spread the big chickens out while the little chicks can kind of get accustomed to the coop and not get totally tortured. That was kind of my reasoning for that. I might go throw a little bit more Scratch out. I did throw a handful of feed on the ground in the corners where those little chicks can hopefully run and get away from run and get away from the big chicks and still have access to food, or run and get away from the hens, I should say. But yeah, that's going pretty well so far. Got the older hens, the broody hens moved into there. It'll be a little tight for them, but I think it'll help hopefully quicken the breaking of the broodiness, is what my hope is. This is the first time I've done it. I'm thinking that should work. I've watched some YouTube videos, the all-knowing YouTube, and that's kind of the basis of what people have been saying on how to break these hens, is just kind of confine them, get them away from the nesting boxes, and that should break them. Because I've been trying to just put them up in the roost bars at night. I've been trying to throw them outside of the coop during the day, not literally throw, but you know, kick them out of the nest boxes, put them out in the coop, or outside of the coop, outside, so they can free range, hopefully get out and do stuff. It's not working. I mean, they've been broody for like 3 weeks now, and it's time for them to break that so I can start getting more eggs. But yeah, I'm gonna fill up this water for those hens, and that should be us introducing those chicks. So got the water filled up for those hens. I'm not sure how much they'll go through. There's only 3 hens. I just grabbed one of these, whatever these little chick waters are. I think that'll be plenty. If not, I'll just swap out the big water that's out in the chicken run for this one, for the little chicks. They have access to the big chicken water there. They just need to make sure, they just need to learn where it's at first. So we'll see how it goes here to start. It looks like a lot of the hens, see if I can switch my camera here. I can't, but if you can see, a lot of the hens have made their way down to the compost pile down there to do some scratching. Or outside, they got the duck pond. I need to clean waters out here. One thing I did not know when I got ducks is how dirty they are. Now they make everything really, really dirty. So I gotta clean that out today too. Hopefully I get enough time with little man. But yeah, looks like everything's going well. All right, guys, so it seems to be going pretty well. The hens have kind of lost interest. They're starting to head out into the cattle pasture and free range. Some are still down at the compost pile. The chicks are all huddled up in the corner still, but I moved their water right next to them so they can get to it pretty easy without having to brave the elements of the bigger chickens. And I sprinkled a bunch of their food around on the ground so they can kind of free range and start scratching around. I put some food out below the feeders so they can start heading towards those feeders for food as well. But everything seems to be going really well. Our mama cat just caught a sparrow in the chicken run here, so that's good. Sparrows come in here and steal the chicken feed, so it's good that she's grabbing those. But everyone's doing well so far, I should say. Grabbed a couple eggs, and that should do it. And I will keep you guys posted on how long it takes those hens to break their broodiness. It already seems to be like they're working. It's working. They're kind of just pacing around in that dog kennel right now. But I'll keep you guys posted. I'll maybe make a short and post a short. But that should be it. I should be able to head back inside before little man wakes up. Thanks for following along, guys, and we'll see you on the next video. Thanks.